Hello, world, and welcome to our podcast where two pals with different viewpoints and thoughts who really don't know much discuss news, politics, conspiracy theories, and much, much more. One's a genius, the other's an idiot. Or are they both idiots?
Or are they both geniuses?
You be the judge. Now, live from beautiful Central Florida, welcome to Political No Brainer. Your host to your right and always right, it's me, Zach. And to your left and never right, it's Coach Trippy.
I'm here. I'm excited.
What's up, Tripperoo? You're back from vacation,
I'm back.
touring around the nation.
Happy camper shirt today.
Nice. I'm
I
wearing
see
my I don't know what this kind of shirt is. It's a surf
Studley shirt.
stud. It's a surf type shirt. I had my work shirt on and I just like, I don't need to advertise for them. So I switched shirts real quick.
Bucky's.
But I will advertise for my favorite place in the world.
I was just there. I told you about that.
So I got some good stuff to talk about. Um, let's start off with one thing that I forgot to talk the other last week. I know everybody says MAGA is a bad thing. They mean it. They think of Trump. It's Trump, Trump, Trump. But you have educated me and said actually Reagan came up with that acronym, didn't he?
Reagan did come up with the acronym. He did.
But here's my philosophy, my thoughts. Every blue blooded, true American loving America, MAGA should be their dream. Make America greater. We are great. Let's make ourselves greater.
Well, that'd
What
be
does that
bad.
what does that mean in a nutshell? Does that mean we're now white supremacists? Does that mean we're some crazy conspiracy theorist? Does that mean that we're all pro Trump? No, it means we're pro America. I don't know how this became such a Trump thing. Um, I love the Orange Man, but I love America more. And I think we should, as true blue blooded Americans, make America greater. And if not, go either to the west or to the east. When you hit water, start swimming. You know, I don't know why. If I wore a MAGA hat, someone's going to want to fist fight me because they think I'm some kind of white supremacist, right wing conservative nut job. And you know what? There can be lefts who are make America great again. There can be anybody. It doesn't have to do anything with politics. It has to do with our country. Trump has turned it into as his own thing, but why don't we take it back? Kind of like us believers say, we're going to take the rainbow back.
Well, I agree, except the MAGA thing, and with Reagan, it wasn't a condescending acronym at all. And we can always do better. America can always
I
do
don't
better.
think Trump means it condescending.
It's become that, like you just sort of said.
And I'm not pointing at you. I think the left has turned it into that.
No,
Because you
it was
imagine if Obama came up with it, I don't think I'd give a flying frog's butt that it was make America great again. I wouldn't go out punching people for wearing a red MAGA hat. And I wouldn't be like Schumer and drunken Pelosi going, these MAGA people are going to kill us all. Come on. Hey,
well, there's
look,
the
I am 100% believing that we need to make America greater, whether that's loving your neighbor, whether that's getting better education systems, that's better tax, using tax money properly instead of funding other crap. I think we need to focus, as I learned back in the restaurant business many, many years ago. Let's focus and perfect the four walls before we worry about anything else. And that's what we need to do.
right. So hang on, let me say something.
No, I won't.
We can always improve,
Yes.
always.
Oh, every day.
And then
All
there's
of
the
us.
then there's the discussion of, like you said, the four walls. Well, the world has globalized, and the world has globalized. The economy's globalized. We are all working together for a common core initiative to further our economies. There is a certain after Nixon landed his plane in China, China became an economic force in the world. He opened the doors to China. They became the low end product capital of the world, and now they've bloomed into something different than that. They're making all sorts of things, and we'd like to see that all around the world. And I don't think America's lost jobs because of that. There's globalization where some jobs have gone to other areas. There's also automation where some jobs have gone to computers and have gone to robots.
So when you go into Publix, do you use their automated checkout?
I do, and I
See,
love it.
I don't because I want to keep kids having jobs.
I do. I didn't think of it that way. I don't see it that way. I don't think that kids have lost their jobs. I see a lot of kids at the register still. I saw a kid last night. He was at the service desk, and I said, "Do you like the service desk?" He says, "I love it."
No,
I
no,
don't
that's
feel it,
good. But look, all right,
but you
it's
can't
convenient.
stop automation.
No, no, and it's
And it
convenient when
didn't
you just
start
got a
with
little
Publix.
basket, it's convenient. But when I got a whole shopping cart full of stuff, I don't get a 10.99 from Publix for me doing my own groceries. So I'm gonna let somebody else get it.
Well, you are though, in that respect. Again, everything's online now. So years ago, it wasn't the case. So when you're actually going online and doing all that stuff, you used to call somebody, and that person would answer the phone and enter all that information for you. That person was getting paid hourly. So it started long before.
I agree because my favorite computer place back in the day was Gateway. I just loved calling them because they were the coolest people on the planet. I think they were
Right.
just a bunch of tree hugging hippie stoners, but hey, whatever.
But
And
things have evolved.
you want to hear a funny story about Gateway?
Yeah, I do.
My parents bought me my first computer from them, but back in 1996, I think. We had just moved to Florida, so it was 96, 98, somewhere around there. Anyway, um Lorianne, the great LA that we've had on the show, my
We
wife,
like her back.
yes, we will, used to have a coffee shop in Gateway.
Really?
Yeah, her aunt was married to Te- one of the Waite brothers, and Waite's owned Gateway. And so Lorianne had a coffee shop in the hospital in Sioux City, and then in South Sioux City, which is actually South Dakota, which is 5 minutes walk. You just walk over. It's like going from Apopka into Altamont, same thing. Um, was the Gateway store, big company, and she had a coffee shop in there because her aunt hooked her up, or her cousin, whoever got them. Anyway, they got in there, and it was cool.
I remember I wasn't Gateway was my favorite. Dell was my favorite. There used to be kiosks in the mall.
Well,
I
Gateway was strictly first all order over the phone, right? They build the
Right,
computer for
right.
you,
But then
but
Dell
then they
had
and
the
then they
kiosks in the mall.
right, and then
And I
Gateway
love
decided
that.
to, and then Gateway
But the
did brick and
malls are
mortar.
gone now. The
Then
malls are gone now.
I know Gateway did brick and mortar, and that wah, wah, wah.
But then, and a lot of things have gotten better. I'll be honest with you. I remember when my son was just little, and we adopted our kids from Thailand, became a U.S. citizen.
Which
And I
one?
remember I went to my first instinct, we were sent cupcakes to school. I wanted U.S. flags and all the cupcakes. My first instinct was to go to Walmart. Went to Walmart, went to the party store, went somewhere else that I knew wouldn't have it, but I made three tries. And this is 15 years ago. So Nicholas has been home 15 years now. And and then I didn't find flags with toothpicks that you could stick in cupcakes. Went on Amazon, bing, ding, there they are. They were in the mail the next day. And so things are better now. And
I know,
things
and don't get me wrong. I think Jeff Bezos is rich because of my wife, but she buys everything on Amazon.
and then they say, and then there's an argument. Now there's so many boxes in the trash that we're screwing up the environment because of that.
Nobody's ever. Let me tell you what. Let me let you in on a little secret. The good Lord did not create this planet for us to destroy it. He won't allow us to destroy it.
No, he
So
won't. But there's always these arguments that when you
So
say
should we get should,
forget,
instead of putting them in the dump, should we recycle them?
I
Sure.
don't have
But
the answer. I'm just saying I did read it. I mean,
no,
it's
no, no.
literally
But
where
here's the
you
thing that
Google.
I'm a very avid recycler. And then
Yeah,
one day they come out to my house and they open up my recycling bin. They're like, "You can't put that in there." I said, "It's plastic. We're recycling bags from Publix." They're like, "Nope, we don't take that."
but you want to hear a funny
And then
story?
to come even find out more is that the same garbage truck that picks up the garbage picks up the recycling and it all goes to the same place.
No, I was just going to say that on certain days when they're so far behind, I see my recycle go in the same. Some days I see another truck go behind them and pick up the recycle, and some days after around Christmas time when they're so far behind, I see them just dumping everything in one truck and just trying to get all the trash out of the neighborhood so they can finally go home sometime that day.
Yeah.
And so I don't have an argument with. I understand the logic of it all, but you want to hear, and this is not. It is a conspiracy theory of mine. There's two things I'll tell you about. So we've seen when we talk about automation, when we talk about jobs going overseas, when we talk about just say the Orange Man talking about jobs going to Mexico. So there was a story I watched it from the beginning. J.P. Morgan. So that
What happened? You froze. You were telling us a great story. Now you froze. Hello. All right, folks, we froze. Trippy, you froze. You there? You froze. I lost you. We're unmute yourself.
Are we back?
Yeah, there you go. All right,
We're
Laura.
back.
Laura, you can fix that.
So here's my
Last,
story.
I lost you at JP Morgan.
Okay, so here's my story. It's going to take a minute to get to the point, but I'll try it. So JP Morgan, the CEO of Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, and Warren Buffett, the CEO of Berkshire, got together and they were going to create an insurance company to that would insure their three companies' employees. Combined, their three companies had 1 million employees.
Sure.
It was called Haven, and the effort failed. They decided and they went on their separate ways. They decided that the people they were sending to the office, to the community effort, all they were doing was working on their own projects. They weren't coordinating a system that would ensure there are 1 million employees combined. So they
Right.
just they gave up. Then shortly after, two things happened. Not one was before. All along, Amazon had been working on a drone program to deliver packages. Then shortly after, Amazon, and I think they got a lot of information from this partnership, from this effort. They've gone into full scale pharmaceuticals. And so they've really gotten to the point where they have taken over what even your local community pharmacies used to do. I mean, really, I actually, my insurance company said we now work with Amazon Pharmaceuticals, went online with Amazon Pharmaceuticals, got an email right back. The best way to get your pharmaceuticals is to be a Prime member. So this is just an example of one. I'm not sure it was a conspiracy, but when the three companies got together, they didn't insure their 1 million employees. What Amazon got out of it was another business, and they got a lot of knowledge from that cooperation with the other two businesses. But big business is really consuming what little business used to do really well.
Yeah,
And
and I get that because like, how many times do you know of little Billy Bob's print shop and then Kinko's comes in and they get
and
blown
they're
out?
gone.
Yeah.
And they're gone. And now Staples and Vistaprint and every all small businesses are gone. So things transform. So how do we change that? I don't say I say what I hear from anybody saying we've lost so much because of jobs going overseas. I say, look at the whole picture. It's not just jobs going overseas. And often it's not. I hear the condescending tone. It's immigrants taking our jobs. And it's not true. They're not taking our jobs. A lot of them are full blown citizens that have been here for years that are taking jobs just like anybody else. And so I think MAGA has gotten associated with that condescending tone of, and I said it all along, it wasn't Donald Trump's acronym. It was Ronald Reagan's acronym.
I,
Ronald Reagan.
and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a great thing. And I think it should be on the forefront of every true blooded, blue blooded American.
It should be, but not again. I don't like the again. America is great. It's definitely got its
How about make
challenges.
America greater?
Greater and greater and greater and greater. We're always working hard to see things go better. And
I
and
mean,
that's not the theme out there.
I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers right now. I'm looking at the economy and looking at the stock market about to crash, and I think it needs to be made great again. Because, but we do go ebb and flow, ebb and flow. The country has to refix itself and all this other stuff.
But to that point, the
Um,
economy is about to crash. And I just read the CEO of BOFA, Bank of America, says his team no longer sees a recession on the horizon. They no longer feel a recession's on the way. And that's
listen
Bank of
and
America.
listen, and it's funny because I have friends who are complete and utter preppers and conspiracy tinfoil hat wearing crazy people, like they think the end is near, like they feel that, and I watch videos they send me and I'm just like, first of all, it's way out of my hands, it's bigger than me, so I can't worry about it because there's nothing I can do by worrying about it. And number two, I know the good Lord's got me. And if it's my turn to go, it's my turn to go. He's not going to let me suffer and starve. He's not going to let people suffer and starve.
No.
I
And
mean,
I told you the
do
story about
people
my
suffer and
farm.
starve all day long? Yes. And that's a whole nother topic about a fallen world. But I really don't think like the big thing that everybody talks about, the ice caps are melting and we're going to get flooded. If you read the good book, God promises, that's what the rainbow is, his promise that we will never get flooded again.
Well, I don't always read the good book. I'm actually not nearly as knowledgeable as you are. I don't read the good book. Let me tell you a story. I
Yes,
was watching a
sinner.
congressional hearing. I was watching a congressional hearing, and this Republican was grilling a Democrat official from the EPA, and he said, "What if we tell me how much money we have to spend to fix global warming?" And the Democrat said, "Well, I can't answer that question." "Well, tell me, would it be $1 trillion?" And the Democrat said, "I can't answer that question." "Well, tell me, would it be $2 trillion? And three and four?" There is no fixing global warming, but to say, hey, let's take responsibility where we can, and not necessarily mean everybody has to drive an electric car, because we've all heard electric comes from oil, electric comes from fuel, it comes from nuclear power.
And
One
it
of
was
the
funny. I
greatest.
saw a Tesla repair truck
uh,
and it was a Ram, one of those minivans, the econo vans. And that ain't electric. That thing was gas. I'm like, you guys are total hypocrites.
and do
And
you know the
here's a funny story. My son-in-law, my daughter's boyfriend, is a firefighter down in South Florida. And Miami Dade actually has a truck with a forklift on it. So when Teslas burst into flames or electric cars catch fire, they can't put them out. So they drive them to the canals and just drop them in the water and let them burn until they burn out. It's crazy. They can't put those fires out. It burns so hot and so hard that they have to literally drop it in water and it takes a day or two for it to burn out.
so do you know who predicted or inadvertently predicted Tesla's success story, potential success story, was Bill Ford.
Oh,
He drove
I
out.
thought the Simpsons.
He flew out to the Tesla plant. I think he might have met Elon Musk. He drove a Tesla and he said, "You know what? These cars are a blast to drive. They're fun to drive. I drove a Tesla. It was a blast. It was the first Tesla. I forget what it was because I did know the model that they called it." And that's how Tesla became such a big deal. It
I
had
think the
nothing to
first
do with
Tesla model was the S.
something like that.
All those models spell out sexy, right?
Really?
Yeah, it's the S, the three, which is an E, the X, and the Y.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Elon's a pretty slick dude.
And no one in the beginning and even till today, I'm not so sure anybody really cares if they're electric or
I
not.
didn't think they were ever going to make it because they were so expensive, but now they're coming to be
They're
more
coming
reasonable.
down.
But electric cars are still expensive because you have to pay for the power in your garage and blah 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 blah. Anyway, I was just at a customer's house and I heard this. It sounded like a golf cart drive by, and it was F-150, an electric F-150, and I was just like, I can't do it. I
They're
can't.
not doing well.
I'm not gonna buy a truck, an electric truck.
I'm never going to own an
I'm a
electric vehicle.
capitalist pig. I'm getting the biggest honking diesel burning. Oh.
I'm not going to ever. When I was a kid, I bought a diesel car, and you had to put a glow bar in it because I lived up north. You have to keep the engine warm, and the biggest problem was just plugging
They're
that
called
damn thing in.
glow plugs.
Glow plugs,
Yeah,
glow bars.
you had to plug it in on cold nights.
Right,
I
and
had
finding
I
a
had
plug.
I had a Volkswagen. Your dog should like that. I had a German car,
Ah,
and
hi, sweet.
I had a Volkswagen Jetta. It was a diesel, and I remember I had to park it in the garage because if it was left outside, it wouldn't start. It was too cold. And but anyway. My dad had Volkswagens, and it was his mechanic. He loaned it to us. He wanted it. I was thinking about buying it, and I drove it for a day or two. And my dad's like, "Take that back. It is too much of a hassle." Now
But you are going to get
I'll be getting a diesel down here,
right, but that's entirely different
and
because
there's
when
reasons for it too because I leave my car running all the time when I'm at
right.
job sites and stuff, and because for most of we're in Central Florida, which is the seventh layer of hell. I mean, you get in your car and you burst into flames if you haven't had the air conditioning on. Everybody has auto start down here and lets
Oh
it
yeah, that's
run.
a new thing. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen that. I don't have it,
I
but of
have
course
it. I
I
have it
wouldn't know how to
on the
use it.
kicks. Well, you don't even know how to use your iPhone.
But I gotta get.
One's a genius, the other's an idiot.
I know, and we're in the IT. I mean, I guess you could say we're in the IT business. We're in the. It's very computer oriented what we do.
I don't know. I do know that uh, oh, speaking of Elon, did you see him interview Trump the other day?
Yeah, well, it wasn't an interview. They actually had a discussion.
most watched discussion, interview, whatever you want to call it, most watched ever. They had over 1 billion people watching it.
Yeah,
I thought it
but
was gonna I thought it was gonna crash the internet. It was too long. It was like 3 hours long.
was it really?
Yeah. And from what I understand, my buddy said you could probably skip through the first hour and a half or so, and then it gets the good stuff.
But you know what I always say, especially about Trump and Elon Musk, that is, I always say that always goes hand in hand with my theory on restaurants. Restaurants succeed when they need to be not only they not only need to be liked, they not only need to be loved, they need to be craved. And but you got two guys that are craved. Everybody wants to hear from these two guys. You put them together,
I
and
can
you got
guarantee
yourself an
you,
enormous interview.
I can guarantee you, you take anybody in the Democratic Party right now, AOC, Kamala, and have them interview with a famous liberal, and you will not have 1 billion viewers.
No, you wouldn't. Well, first of all, AOC is not a most famous Democrat.
That's your
We've
girl.
been and that's fine. She's a Democrat, and I've always said,
Actually, I got to give her props. She did a good job the other day when she was grilling the Secret Service director.
well, she's extremely intelligent. I'm not.
Come
People
on
can
now.
argue that
Come
all they
on,
want,
son.
whether they like her or
Come
not.
on, son. She ain't extremely intelligent.
But
She
I'm going
might
to
be
give
smart
her
for a
a
bartender.
100%. If we have grades like greatest politician or greatest actor, she did something I respect. And I've told you this before, I've said it on the show before. She went out, she got a clipboard. She not only got the nomination from somebody that should have easily gotten a nomination, she won the election. Now, what she's doing wrong, and it's up to her, it's up to all of us, is she's getting reelected over and over again. And that was never the intent of the House by our founding fathers. The House was intended for
Why do they not
conservatives.
have term limits on the House and the Senate?
Because it's the people in charge of the House, the people that are elected to the House and Senate that would have to pass that legislation.
And they won't because they want to get their
And they won't. And you know that
money.
there was an
Have
age
you ever
old
seen a poor congressperson?
no, but you know, John Roberts, and I love him. I don't know how you feel about him. He's the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court,
He's a
and he's a
rhino.
very adamant conservative, but not always, he's not always there for conservatives like they would like him. He
He's
once
a
wrote,
rhino.
he right.
I said it because I said that for you. No, I don't know. No.
He once wrote in his at times he does see things when they would rather him just go down the like the Clarence Thomas road and he doesn't. But he once wrote in his yearly report, why does Congress and the Senate automatically get raises, but every year they have to vote on our raises and they don't always vote for them? And that's because they're in charge. I mean, their raises are automatic. It's not published in the papers that they just got a raise. It's not published in the papers that they had to take a vote and who voted yes and who voted no. They're automatic. But people in the U.S. Supreme Court don't get automatic raises. My guess is the Congress generally approves them,
Does the
but
president
maybe
get an
not.
automatic raise?
Huh?
Does the president get a raise?
The president gets an automatic raise.
Does he?
But
Except for
Trump, I
except
give
for
Trump
Trump.
whether I agree with him or not. Like I've said so many times, I don't. But he was giving his salary away
Yeah. Was that a
in
bad
all
thing?
the 4 years. Huh?
Was that a bad thing?
Not at all. I gave him credit. You always say I can't give Trump credit. I can, and even Daniel was on here. I did research on the way, waiting for Daniel though, because we talked about the lack of empathy Kamala Harris had as a prosecutor. I'm not going to bring it up until we have Daniel back, but I did research what he asked me to research.
Did you research Afghanistan?
$7 billion left
Did
behind.
you
You know what I
happen
was chalking
did you
up
happen to
to?
see the parade yesterday or the other day they had with all
Seven
their
billion
stuff?
dollars worth of equipment,
Yep.
possibly, or not all of it.
Yep.
And you know, presidents have made more
Oh,
than
but they took the chips out.
they did take the chips out.
I
That's the
think they were
truth.
potato chips they took out.
There was a helicopter. If you look, if you find it, you'll see a Taliban fighter pilot got into a helicopter, spun in circles, and crashed.
Oh, that's all
Because
right.
no, and you don't
Then
know
we went to go see Allah a
but
little
I was, you know
sooner.
what? So you guys stood me down on that. I said, okay. I said, stop with the 80 billion. That's Trump's figure. The real figure from the Pentagon, which is one way either could believe or not,
I
is
don't. I think they're a bunch of liars. They're probably
okay.
covering up for the
But
buffoonery.
I call it 7 billion if that's what's coming out of the Pentagon. Presidents make $7 billion decisions every day, good or bad. And
They could give me 10% of that and I'd be all right.
the fact of the matter is the fact that we haven't been in that war for now the 3 years Biden's been president.
No, but we got worse stuff going on. Israel's about to bubble over and
Afghanistan is done, and we haven't lost a single soldier there. And everybody was like,
I don't know about that. I got to do a little research on that.
"We're not there." When Biden pulled the plug, he pulled the plug.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean there's not people there getting killed.
It doesn't mean there's not people right in Saudi Arabia, one of our closest allies in the world, where there's people getting killed and terrorists being
Saudi
trained.
Arabia is not an ally.
They're one of our staunchest allies.
They're
Only
about to
second
they're
baby
about to cut us
Israel.
off from the oil. They're I supposedly they're not using US dollars for the oil funds anymore.
I don't know. I haven't heard.
Everybody's
I
going to
can't comment.
bricks.
Well, well, they're not cutting us off of oil. Then they're cutting us off of taking our of certain.
They're not taking our money. You have to pay different ways, I think.
We have way. I don't know the story. I can't comment. But we have ways of paying that.
Oy
There's no.
vey.
There will be Arab oil flowing into America for the
Well,
next.
why though? Why can't we use our own oil? We got
We
plenty of it.
can. And I've
We
stood down
don't.
on the
We
pipeline.
don't. Your schmuck president shut it off.
One pipeline. But the truth is, and you can research it, he's issued more permits than the Trump administration for drilling.
But we had the pipeline open when Trump was there, and it was no need
And
for
I said it
issuing
may have
anything.
been a political decision. I don't necessarily agree with it. I thought it was oil coming from another country. It was Alaska
Came
oil.
through another country. But here's the
Through it,
funny
not, you're
thing,
right. I thought
and
it
I
was
think I've
Canadian
said
oil.
this before. There's enough oil um under Colorado to last us 300 years.
Well, according to Charlie Munger, one of Warren Buffett's partner in crime, we should save our reserves forever and use other people's oil because we're going to need them someday.
Right. And you go back to the good old analogy, keep your money in your bank and use someone else's money. It's the same
Right,
thing. I get
right.
it. I get it.
That was a very, if you ask me, Charlie Munger was a very
But
smart man.
according to also the left or climate change people, we're all going to be dead soon. So why not just
We're not going to
let's
all be
start
dead.
drinking the oil?
So I'm going to tell you, Trump pulled out of the climate agreement, and the funny thing about it was we were hitting the numbers. We were hitting the numbers that we agreed to. We didn't have much effort to put forth to fulfill the agreement. So by pulling out of it, we made it easier for China to not hit the numbers. There was no point in pulling out of it, is my point. But climate change won't kill us. But to understand it's real, to understand that we should be proactive in some respects.
They like to make it seem like it's gonna though. I mean
Well, they
everybody's
do.
screaming the left's gonna
But
oh, neither do I.
Trump's like we're going into World War III in a deep depression, and I just read from the CEO of BOFA, Bank of America, we're not headed for a recession. His team does not see any indication we're heading
He's
into a
one
recession.
of maybe a million people that don't see it
It's a
though.
big statement coming from a big guy. I mean, he doesn't
I
have to
get
make.
it, but other ones are saying that the look at the stock market. It's just it's down. It's bad.
Well, it's high, but there's a good reason it's down. So, an example again. Let me give you an example. It was just an announcement. Warren Buffett, another Warren Buffett quote, pulled out of Apple, sold 50% of his stake in Apple. Everybody said, is this a sign we're going into a recession? Is this a sign you're hoarding cash? He said, no. Right now, the tax bill is real attractive. Right now, the capital gains tax rate is real attractive. I'm taking the 75 billion out because, and he is concerned that Kamala Harris may change that. And he's concerned she may become president. So it wasn't that he was pulling out of the market, it was that he felt that the capital gains rate, the taxes he would have to pay on the actual, he made a fortune on Apple stock. The capital gains he would have to pay on the Apple stock profits is good now. So he pulled out now while he could. And he is concerned that Kamala Harris could win the presidency.
I'm
About
not.
that,
The only
huh?
way she's winning is she's cheating.
Right. That's
Only
what.
way. Did you have you seen? All right, let's talk about that for a little bit. Have you seen this? I can't say yay or nay. I can see the side of it where they're saying it was fake, but
AI
that
images.
yeah, the crowd because there's no reflection in the plane of the crowd.
I hope including Donald Trump, I'm not sure he believes it either, but I hope he does because this is why they're losing. They're not running a good campaign. I'm telling you, and there's so many people saying, look, we were there. We saw the crowds. But
Which
Trump
you
said,
believe people saying that? I mean, they could be lying.
yes, they were there, reporters
I
too.
don't believe it.
Right. And we all hope people that don't want to see people that don't want to see Trump get reelected are hoping Trump continues to put out these rather than somebody said, talk about what you're going to do as president, not talk about how dumb Kamala Harris is. And he continues to say she's dumb. And
She
they're
ain't
like,
smart.
talk about what you're going to do as president. This is how you win an election.
She
But no,
ain't smart.
well, right. But it's not smart to not run a good campaign.
And right now, from what I'm looking at, the numbers, it's split right down the middle.
But remember one thing that if you acknowledge that, then acknowledge Biden was losing. I still feel he could have won for one reason.
Hmm.
And you're going to argue that it's a bad reason. But the whole abortion thing has become such an issue. There was a girl in Indiana, a 10-year-old girl, physically raped, bleeding in the parking lot, and the doctor that treated her was threatened with
That's
prosecution.
a different story.
That's an extreme that we've
Extreme.
gotten to now.
But most people who get abortions is because they screwed up and didn't use a
But the problem
prophylactic.
is that's I'm not bringing up the abortion issue because I really do want to save that for Pastor Tom, right,
Joe.
Joe, but it's a problem for the Republicans. And the only reason I'm bringing it up right now is because when everybody says Trump is going to lose because he was robbed, keep in mind there's a lot of things working against Trump, is all I'm saying. There's on the ballot now, including Florida, there's 8 extreme abortion bans. When a middle of the road voter sees that abortion ban on the ballot, they're going to vote down the line Democrat because there's
Mm,
a lot of concern
I
about that.
disagree on that.
Okay, but I can't agree or disagree. I'm hearing it from experts that Democrats themselves are Democrats themselves are considering it an edge, but there's always this waning caution because Hillary said, I'm going to win Texas, I'm going to win Florida, I'm going to win North Carolina. She didn't win shit. So Kamala Harris is saying, guys, this could be a sugar rush. Guys, this could be a honeymoon period. I need you to vote. I need you to volunteer. I need you to knock on
So
your doors.
so let's talk about her vice president pick.
Okay.
I and this is just a theory. I don't have proof, but I someone has said the other day I was listening to a show and they said that if you look at California right now, Gavin is cleaning it up. He's out there taking care of the homeless. He's it's like he's done a 180-degree turnaround. And people say they're actually grooming him because they think that this guy Waltz is going to get such negative reviews. They're going to boot him, and he's not going to get the nomination. It's going to be they're going to pull Gavin in.
Well, I've never heard that. Waltz is getting, from what I'm hearing, wonderful reviews. I heard in the
He's the
numbers
biggest. I'm sorry, he's the biggest scumbag on the planet. The things that he
because of the
stands for are absolutely horrific. He's a liar about his service. He did not serve properly, and he lies about it all the time. I've seen every video where he flat out lied. And the things he did to his state. I've listened to a police chief and a sheriff and a couple other cops from Minneapolis. I listened to a sergeant whose precinct was under siege during it, and he told them, stand down, let them have it. And she's in tears crying because they destroyed everything. But it was
well,
peaceful. But it was peaceful.
but remember, this could all be true. But when
It's
you look at the
I know
numbers,
it's true.
he's being received really well across the country.
Maybe by the left, but not by anybody else. I do not think any person who's moderate to conservative would even look at him.
Generally speaking, the lower ticket doesn't win an election. It can lose an election, and the only time
Well,
I ever saw it lose an election was Sarah Palin.
well,
They are sitting
this
down.
might be another Palin.
This could be, but it's not as of yet.
I don't know. I
But
don't
here's the
know.
thing. They're saying he's got that Midwesty folksy style. Now, here's the thing. You're talking about an engaged voter versus a non-engaged voter. There's voters that don't know the things you're talking about. And so far,
And
again,
that's why Daniel's big point was educate yourself.
I've educated myself.
I'm not talking about you. I meant yourself as in the
I don't
people.
have an issue. The other day you sent me a story about Tim Waltz was a terrible E9 sergeant,
Yeah.
enlisted office.
By his officer. Was written by his officer,
And
his
then I
boss.
sent you the story who said he did a fair to middling to good job as an 87 and E8. The E9 job seemed to be over his head. He chose early retirement. The guy that was allegedly smashing him said that was a pretty noble decision.
No, but everybody that was in his platoon and part of his division said that he flat out knew that they were getting sent to Iraq and that's why he bailed. And that tells me he's a
But the
coward.
story you
He's
sent
a
me,
coward.
Well, you're talking about the greatest coward in the world being Trump, because you know for a fact only rich kids get bone spur deferments.
If the
Because bone
doctor gave him
spurs,
the letter, then how you going to argue it? You
you know how
weren't
you
there.
get the
You
letter
can't say.
often?
You
So
can't
listen,
say. You can't
I
say.
don't
Look,
know, but I can tell you this. Let me
but
tell you this. I don't know
you
how.
cannot claim to have gone to battle and shot an M16, and you never even went to battle. And this guy
Okay,
claims that.
there was a controversial story about busy ER rooms in big cities sending off their X-ray pictures off to India for diagnosis because doctors didn't just have time to get to it.
Yes,
It's
indeed.
also and that's probably how Trump got his bone spur. And
Oh, come on. That was back in the 1960s. Come on. You're going to get
I'm
a bone
telling you,
spur.
I'm not saying via
Let
the
me tell you what.
internet.
I've
I
talked
love the way
to
now there's going to be some quote. Jeff thought the internet was in the 1960s. No, I'm saying
listen, but
there's
listen to
been
me. Listen to me. I'm talking about a guy who allegedly joined the military to serve our country and then turned into a coward
he served 24 years.
as a pencil pushing nerd. He was in
Okay,
the National Guard. That's not even the military.
it's a big part of the
It's
military. It's
not.
who's going to respond to all the idiots that revolt when Trump loses.
Nobody's going to revolt. I'm sorry. Was there a revolt in 2020? Did we burn anything?
There was the January 6th thing.
And everybody said we don't want the National Guard there. Pelosi said, nah, we're good. Trump offered the National Guard for protection.
According to Trump, and Pelosi denied the story. So
Pelosi
we
denied
don't
the story,
know.
but why was her daughter there filming everything? Because
I don't know.
it was all set up. January 6th is the biggest scam. It's almost as big as 9/11.
But will you agree that, okay, let's just leave it at that. Okay, let's say, yes, I agree, Zach.
You won't.
There are people who are still in jail because of January 6th riots. Let me make this
It's
point.
just horrific. There's an old lady who
Before
went there to pray for people and they locked her up.
let me make this point before
I
you
would go to jail if that was my mother because
let me
I would
make
go to
this
jail
point
for a
before
lot of
you
other
interrupt
things.
me. Bill Clinton pardoned 140 people before his last hours of his presidency ended. Trump could have done the same
No, he
thing,
couldn't have. They got locked up after he was already out.
but they were charged. He could have
Ah, I disagree.
he could have. And you know
I
what?
disagree. And you know, I know people who had plane tickets to DC on January, went there for business, and the FBI showed up at their house to investigate why they were there on January
They were
6th.
investigating widely and broadly. Were they
Yeah,
charged? No, they
why is
weren't
the
there.
FBI investigating the bunch of crap?
They didn't
They're the biggest corrupt bunch of
they
thugs on the
didn't get
planet.
charged
And if
though.
they show up at my door, I'm telling you right now, come visit me
They'll
in
say
jail.
hi, how you doing? How can I help you? And you'll answer their questions and they'll go home.
I'll answer a question with a large gun sitting behind the door as
You
they step
won't.
through. You hide and watch. You think I won't?
You won't. I
You
certainly hope
think
not.
I?
I won't have a co-host.
You'll have to come visit. We'll do podcasts from jail. Live from San Quentin.
Why are you not drinking the bubbly?
It is. It's in here.
We froze again. Oh,
No, we didn't freeze.
oh, it
You
is.
froze. It's in here.
I wish I would have got one of those cups. I saw them and I didn't buy one. That would have been amazing. I didn't know
This
you had
cup at Bucky's. It's a 40 ounce. I'm doing an advertisement. We're not even sponsored by him.
them.
14 bucks.
I know. I was just there. I got my
It's
lunch
awesome.
box.
Go buy the one from that other company, Yeti or whatever. They're like a $300. This is $14 and
Then
it's
I
just
saw
as
it, but
good. I leave it in my car all day long and my drink, I've left it overnight to the next day and my drink is still cold.
now I got to take a ride to Daytona to buy one of these.
Yeah, we'll go. You know what? We should do a podcast from Bucky's.
Right straight from Bucky's.
We could
That
be
would
eating
be
some
cool.
we could be eating some brisket.
Oh, we got to do that.
Anyway, we're never going to see eye to eye on this guy. He's the biggest. So,
No, I didn't disagree with you. I said I didn't. I'm not disagreeing or
have you
agreeing.
done
I
the
don't.
research on him with
I've
his
said
full
two
term?
things about when you said we're
Have
not
you
going to see
done
eye
the
to eye.
research about his afterbirth abortion?
I told you I did it. I said it was changed one line. And actually, that's something that I do want to respond to, but I do want to wait till Pastor Tom is here because I did have
Joe,
an opinion on it.
your buddy's Tom. My buddy's Joe.
Pastor,
Joe.
I've done that 3 times now.
Yeah.
I've
Tom's your
done that.
friend, and he's a pastor, right?
I want to talk about that when Pastor Joe is here.
Is it Tom a pastor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every
Okay.
Sunday. He does an online sermon. It's very nice.
Are we gonna
I
get a
don't
rabbi since you're Jewish?
I don't know. No, a rabbi. We're not going to tell the rabbi the only difference between Netanyahu and Hitler is Hitler had the integrity.
How about a priest?
Yeah, if you,
I don't know any priests.
I know one, Father Ben, the guy that married us. Did I
Yeah,
ever
but
tell
then
you
he
that
goes, he's
story?
a Jew. I don't want to talk to him.
Yeah, I went to his office at UCF to ask him to baptize Nicholas, and I could hear him in his office talking about me because the place was so small. He kept saying, "A Jewish guy, a Jewish guy." He adopted two kids from Thailand. And then I walked in the room. He looked like he thought he felt. I don't know. We both looked awkward. I didn't say a word about his
You
conversation.
look awkward normally, though.
Huh?
You look awkward normally.
Right, but that was a little weird. And the secretary, the second that was the whole point was the office was here. The secretary had like basically a little square table in front of his door. It was such a small area.
It's a Jew, a
And
Jewish
I'm
guy.
standing right in front of her. We both hear him having this conversation. The secretary looked weird as hell about the whole thing. I walked in the door like I felt like I didn't say anything. I said, "Hey, it's great to see you, Father, but what are you doing here?" And he said, "Oh, the what do they call that? The
Well, hey, if there's any rabbis or priests out there that listen to our show, we'd like to interview you because we want to get a perspective. We're doing a whole religious segment. Not going religious. We would like to discuss religion and politics. The two no-nos you should never talk about. Well, guess what?
we're
There's
gonna
the
cover
bear.
them."
There's the bear, and I'm poking it.
Yeah. And if you want to join, I would love rabbis to join us in this conversation.
I,
But
I I wonder if my mom knows any rabbis. You know, she was tight with all the Jews up in New York. You know the difference between a Jew and an Italian grandma, right?
what?
One makes matzo balls, the other make meatballs. They're the same people.
Meatballs are better though. I had
Well,
matzo ball soup one day. I couldn't even swallow it. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with this. I couldn't eat it.
oh my gosh, there's a place up in Jersey called Harold's New York Deli, and the matzo balls were as big as your head. It was like a bowling ball, literally in a soup bowl. It was huge. It was delicious. I would get a pastrami sandwich there. That was my thing. I love pastrami.
So me and my wife stayed in New York for weeks one time,
This is
and
in Jersey, not New York. New York would
this
be Carnegie Deli
us and
or Katz's.
cats. We walked by cats. So one there was this long line. So I said, I think this is the famous place where they had the movie.
Did you see the sandwiches?
I saw everything. I just didn't want to wait in line. I won't wait in line for healthcare. The whole thing was ridiculous. The line was long. So I told my wife, and she said, no, because and then we went and saw, because in that area, there's actually a ticket booth that sells half price tickets and matinees. So we literally got a ticket to see 12 Angry Men. But we had time, but I was like, look at that line. Do we really have time to stand in that
It
line and
goes
eat?
pretty quick though.
It does.
Yeah.
So in the end, we got hot dogs, but I got knishes on the street vendor. I
Oh,
got
they're the best with yellow mustard.
You'd have to wait in line. I
We
didn't
went
know.
so we used to go to the Macy's Day Parade, the Thanksgiving parade every year. My dad had a street corner that we'd go on. He'd have set up a ladder and we'd be up on it and everything. It was great. But
Yeah.
we would go to Katz's in the morning to get lunch. We'd grab it and then go sit in the parade all day and eat Katz's, right? And there's these two old ladies sitting in there at the table and we're standing in line. I was a little kid. And she says, "Young man, have you had breakfast?" And I said, "I have not." She goes, "Here you go. There you go." She gave me half a bagel. It had like a pound of cream cheese on it. It was friggin' huge.
Right.
But she gave me, it was a nice garlic bagel with cream cheese. And I was like, no, no, no. She's like, "Take it, Sonny. You need it." My father was like, "Take it. Shut up. It's free food." That's my
No,
that's
no,
my memory. That's my memory of cats is two old ladies sitting there eating, splitting a bagel, and it was too much for them. It's too much.
it's too much. It's
Too
too
much.
much.
Too
Flag
much.
was too much for me. The
Oh,
line was
but
too
dude,
much.
their pastrami sandwiches are like you can't even you got to unhinge your jaw.
I didn't get that far. I wouldn't wait in line for that
Did
crap.
you go to Rockefeller Plaza?
Yeah.
Did you go to the restaurant that overlooks Rockefeller Plaza?
No.
Oh, that's the Carnegie Deli, or it used to be. I don't know if it is anymore,
That's
but
over by Trump Towers.
I don't know. I don't know if
Not
Trump.
far.
When were Trump Towers built?
Oh God, 20, 20, 30 years ago.
Oh yeah. Well, I know. They were built before or after I
They
probably.
were before I left New York, so that's 40 years ago.
Well, then they must have been around when I was around because I haven't been in the city. Well, I take that back. I went to the city in '05. I brought a friend up there. I'd never been. But before that was probably the late '80s, early '90s when me and my friends used to go
Was
to
it there?
concerts. Was what there?
Trump Towers.
That's what I'm saying. I don't remember because we
Oh,
used to go every year. We go for Christmas. We go to Macy's and Saks Fifth Avenue and all that to see the decorations. Spectacular.
yeah.
But well, It must have been because Home Alone was in Trump Towers, remember? And he was
Yeah,
walking through and
that's even
he asked
Trump
Donald for
Towers
directions to the lobby.
was built. Let's see there, buddy.
Well, it must have been because the Taj Mahal and all that stuff down in Atlantic City was there.
1979.
Wow. All right. So like almost 50 years ago. No, 69.
1983. It took 4 years.
Did it really?
Yeah, 4 years. 1979 to 1983.
Have you ever been in the top of the World Trade Center?
Yeah.
Did you eat at the restaurant there?
No.
Oh, we went there for my grandparents' 50th anniversary. Windows on the
How was that?
world. First of all, when you stand at the window, you can see the building swaying.
Really? Yeah, I know it's
It's
swayed.
a little freaky. But the restaurant was, as my uncle said, you know, we got done eating this big expensive meal. It was like 3 grand. Well, there's 12 of us there, but it was expensive. My parents split it with my Uncle Joe and my mom and dad split it. And he was a big guy and I was a big guy. And he looks at me and goes, "Hey, come on, let's go get a sandwich. There was not enough food at this joint."
Holy crap, $3,000
I think
dinner.
I don't remember. I mean, maybe it was 1,500. Maybe my dad was trying to make it sound more than it was. But my parents were like, it was expensive. But
I
it was my
bet.
grandparents' 50th anniversary, so
I never ate there.
I don't remember if it was good or not. But I remember getting there and I didn't have a jacket, and they had jackets in the closet, and you had to use one of their jackets because it was a jacket and tie place.
Oh, yeah, I've been to. No, I've never eaten, but I've heard of places like that.
It's
I've never had
ridiculous.
one.
Ridiculous. They don't have them in Florida because the only thing that's actually I think required in restaurants is shoes, some form of foot attire.
Yeah, that's Florida. Yeah,
Because
that's my kind
I'll
of
wear
place.
flip flops to a restaurant down here,
That's my
uh,
kind of
and
place.
shirts. You got to wear a shirt in restaurants
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a rule.
unless it's like some big beach bar that you can sit outside like coconuts out in Cocoa.
That I like that. I've been there.
They make very good chicken fingers.
I love that.
Yeah,
I've
they
been
got
there.
good chicken fingers. Have you ever been to the Garlic?
No.
I hear it's not that good. Everybody raves
What
about
is
it, but I heard it was not impressive. My friend went and he said it wasn't impressive. It's a
I never even
restaurant out
heard.
in New Smyrna.
Never heard of it.
Oh, all right. Maybe we'll do a podcast on restaurant reviews.
We should do that. We should go to restaurants.
I started my taco truck review and we went to the taco festival.
I saw you and Lorianne there.
That's right. It was delicious. I love tacos. I'm making
I love
tacos this weekend, I think.
I love
But I'm
tacos.
doing shredded chicken tacos this weekend. I normally do beef. I want to do chicken.
I'll be over.
Come on over. We're making enough. It's only me and Lala
I'll be there
and the dogs and the
with
dogs.
Diesel.
So, there was stuff, man. I got to start writing stuff down or taking notes when I'm driving. I was listening to stuff about this guy and I was like, man, this is good stuff to talk about. But, I mean, from military people that I know, they say he's a complete disgrace. They say, first of all, he's fake. So what? He was in the National Guard and he bailed on his unit. And second of all, he was not anything that he says he was. He was not a sergeant major. He didn't even make it to that.
No, he
You
was an
know,
E9. He left. That's a sergeant
my
major.
buddy was a colonel
According
in
to the
the
story you sent me.
my buddy was a colonel in the army.
No, he
He,
was an enlisted officer. He was
right.
never.
No, 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 I know. But my buddy was a colonel and he sees that stuff and he says he wants to vomit. He says that guy was a disgrace to the
Well, no, but
uniform.
he was an E9, even according to the story you sent me. He did
I don't
retire
know what's an
shortly after.
E9.
That's the highest enlisted officer you can be.
Sergeant,
E9 goes
master sergeant. Is that a master sergeant?
I think so, yeah. So
I
I
don't know.
don't
What do
know.
I know?
He
What do
thinks
I
the
know?
story you sent me said he did a good job as an E7, and when he got the job as an E9, he did a bad job. He decided to take early retirement. And the guy was allegedly, the heading of the story was this guy is bashing this guy. And he said it was a good decision. He made the right decision.
For a coward and a baby
But
butcher and a boy
I
shoving
can't
tampons in it.
respond to the baby thing. I want Pastor.
A boy making boys wear tampons in fourth grade.
He's not making them.
Why do we need tampons in a boys' room?
Here I've made this point before, and you don't listen, so you interrupt me. But and I
That's my
have to use Obama
that's
as
my
the example.
job.
I have to use Obama as the example. Obama was a popular Democratic president. He got reelected, so he's president for 2 terms.
Right.
During that presidency, Democrats loved him. They respected him. They liked the way he communicated. He had a great way of communication. Whether you agreed with him or not, he had a good way about him. During that presidency, we lost, as Democrats lost, over 1,000 seats in local government all across the country because Republicans are very adamant voters. Republicans mostly, they're the ones that show up for the special elections in August when some guy dies or retires or is forced out of office because of some crime committed. It's the Republicans that show up for these votes.
Right.
So what my point is we've got all these local officials, Republican local officials, that are making these decisions. It's not governors saying there must be tampons in the boys' room from K through 12.
He
There's
was the one who signed and put the bill in motion.
But the local officials can shoot it down. This stuff is made. Governors don't dream up things like tampon machines in boys' bathrooms.
Let him try that nonsense here, see what happens.
It doesn't happen here in Florida. But my point is, when you're talking about stuff like that, you've got to realize where it's coming from. It may very well be coming from a lethargic Republican local official base.
I don't know.
I can't say for sure. I'm not watching every vote,
I
but
think
I
you
can
should.
say
I want you to
Republicans
be at every
generally
voting booth and make sure everybody's doing it legally so we have no fraud.
Republicans generally run the show when it comes to local elections. I've always said if Democrats weren't so damn lazy, we'd win more elections. They don't show up to vote.
I
And
well,
I've always made
you dropped out.
I ran, but my point was I wasn't a good politician. I said, if you're going to send me $20, don't send it to me. Send it to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. They need it. I don't want your money. I want you to. I'm not here to raise money. I'm here to raise awareness. I'm here to tell you
Well,
there's a better way.
weren't you the Lake County Water Commissioner or something?
I was on the board and it was interesting. And that was an educational piece. We did a lot of competitions in the schools. The kids were doing environmental projects, and Ron DeSantis dissolved all those local boards, all those local environmental boards.
Because they're probably
We had
wasting money. Sorry.
we did spend money.
See?
Allegedly, we had like I heard the figures. I would look at the budgets all the time. I was in the meetings all the time. We had millions of dollars in the budget
Was
at
the
the time.
Democratic base?
No, there was conservatives. There was a lot of Democrats and a lot of them. But it wasn't just about who we were. It was about who would take part in our meetings,
Right.
not necessarily who the elected officials were. I was a Democrat, and others were Democrats. Yes, but who would take part in the meetings was from all around the community: Republicans, Democrats. We would talk about zoning, for example. One time, I went to a meeting. And there was this Leesburg, I believe it was the Leesburg mayor, came to this meeting,
Uh-huh.
and the lady and in the villages, you could drive in the villages on a Wednesday afternoon. You know it's heavily conservative, heavily Republican, and you see the sprinklers sprinkling on the golf courses. And we can't water our lawns once a week sometimes during the droughts. And the villages gets all kind of exemptions.
I don't agree with that.
Right, but so the lady said, I don't see how, and zoning was a part of what we discussed in our meetings. So the lady, one time I went to this meeting, the lady said, I don't see how we can afford to have 3,000 new homes in the Leesburg area because we can't even water our grass now. And the Leesburg official said, I don't remember us approving 3,000 new homes. I remember us approving the 30,000 new homes just recently. And the guy about had to run out the back door. And so there's all kinds of
30,000 homes.
Yeah, she was talking about 3,000. He's like, I don't remember there being 3,000 homes approved. Just recently, we signed off on 30,000 new homes. And the guy was like, what? Everybody was just outraged and mad. He left. And that's the systems in place.
Well,
The
I
very
hear
powerful. And generally, they are Republicans.
I hear they're building
Go
9,000
ahead.
homes here in northwest Apopka.
Uh, where I live in Claremont. Next door is Mascot. The villages bought all that.
Did they?
So there's going to be probably yes,
How close are you to
yes.
Mineola?
There's going to be. I am in Mineola.
Do you go to
That's
the
where I
tiki,
vote. Mineola City Hall.
do you go to the tiki bar?
It's right. I go drive by. I go to the post office. I go to.
They make delicious
I
burgers
drive
there.
by. I go to the kids' school.
Wonderful burgers
Huh?
there. They make great burgers.
It
I
looks
don't
like
even,
home.
is
We've
it still
never been.
around?
Yes, it's alive and well.
I
just drove
I
by
thought
today.
COVID would have killed it. A lot of businesses went under because of COVID.
And I
Another thing to
did.
discuss. So Now, did you hear the Bill Gates and the WHO are now trying to shut everything down because the what was it? The monkeypox is making a major comeback.
Well, Bill Gates doesn't run the WHO.
Yeah, but they listen to him.
He donates money all over the
So
world. So
they're
yeah.
saying the bird flu is horrific and the monkeypox, and we're going to probably have to shut down again. And gee, just in time for what? An election. Go figure.
Well, I can assure you there'll be no shutdowns before the election.
You
I'm willing
think?
to make that. I'll
I
bet
don't.
you $1.
A dollar? I'll bet you a
Yeah, I
dollar.
don't want to go crazy because where
It's
there's
not.
a shutdown,
It's
I
not.
basically, we were just talking about $75 and $50 the other day. Come on.
I just took care of $75. Did you take care of
I know that's what I'm saying. I mean, this is not easy times,
it? It's easy breezy,
but
lemon squeezy. But you
no,
know
there'll be
what?
no
We've
shutdown.
lived through many ebb and flows. We've been in prosperity and we've been in depression. And if you look at all the depressions, it was under Democratic rule.
Well,
Ah, look them
we
up.
came off
Do the
an
research.
economic high after Obama.
No,
According to
Obama
Clinton,
had the biggest recession in the auto industry and the housing industry than anybody. Do you not remember how Kissimmee was like empty because nobody could afford the arms anymore?
well,
When I moved into Stony Brook Hills up in Mount Dora, every other house was in foreclosure.
I can tell you this: as far as presidents, even Obama says it in his book. If you've ever read his book, presidents don't have a lot to do with the economy. So the gyrations are definitely
They're the
there.
big man on top. They better have something to do with it.
The Federal
But if you
Reserve
do
can
the
play with
research,
the.
I saw this the other day and I found it very interesting. And I said I was going to bring it up to you because I knew you'd argue with me. Every depression that we've had, any recession, any
No, yeah, I'm not
economy,
going to argue with you. I don't know.
any economy dip was under Democratic presidency.
No, I'm not going to argue that point. It could very well be. I don't know the numbers. Oh
And
yeah, I
all
told you the other day.
prosperity was under Republican. Now, I'll give Clinton that, but he was riding on the coattails of Reagan, and Bush was riding on the coattails of Reagan.
You argued the whole coattail.
They were slapping that wave and riding it as far as they could. Hey, look,
Well,
the '80s
Bush
were
left
really good.
during the financial crisis. The day before he was leaving presidency, the financial crisis came on his head.
I mean,
He
I don't
actually
remember Clinton as a president because I was a kid. You know, we didn't care. I mean, we weren't kids, but you know, we were at that age like my kids. They're in their 20s. Who cares? Mommy will give me money.
I know. All I know is I've always said it. I've never done well or unwell under any president. I've always managed to survive. Been sort of conservative with my money. Been in the same house for 20 something years. Same,
You know, it's
just
funny,
always same.
and I don't mess with you. I mean, I do mess with you on your ethnicity. Well, you're not Jewish as an ethnicity; it's a religion. But have you ever noticed most Jews are very conservative with their dough, but they're democratic in in their views of politics.
Yeah, no,
I
now
don't
I'm
know that I've
seeing
ever seen a conservative or a Republican Jew.
Jews like Trump. My mom loves Trump.
Does she?
She sent a picture of him on her golf cart in the window. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's awesome. Good for your mom. She have the MAGA flag
I
flying out
got
front.
I'll say no. I'll send you a picture of it. I'll be there next week. I'll take a picture
And
of
I'm
it.
still saying you're more African American than Kamala.
Trump's saying that too, and everybody's like, Trump needs to stop that. It's hurting his campaign, and he
It's
keeps on doing
hilarious.
it. And I'm like,
It's
no, don't stop it.
hilarious. We
Keep
love
hurting.
it. Well, she
Yeah,
was
you guys do
Indian,
too.
and then all of a sudden she's African American, and she's not. She's
But
Jamaican.
that's
It's
not affecting her. That's not affecting her trajectory.
I
No one
know.
cares.
I'm sure there are certain ethnicities that hear that and that will just vote for her because of that.
That may be, but when he talks about it, when he wastes precious time talking about it, all he's doing is exciting his base. In order to win a presidency, you've got to create new voters. That's called being modular.
I
You've got to. He's saying it is based on.
I don't vote because of ethnicity. I don't vote because of color. I don't vote because of sex. I vote for the person I feel that is standing behind my beliefs the greatest.
Right.
So if
Would you ever switch your vote?
Ramaswamy ran, I'd vote for him because I like him. If the chick from South Dakota ran, I'd vote for her.
Who is the chick from South Dakota?
The governor of South Dakota, or is she North Dakota?
Either
What's her
Dakota,
name?
but let me.
I actually kind of like Tulsi Gabbard.
Well, she was a Democrat.
I know, but she's not anymore. So you'd call her a dino.
No, I would call her what
She's
she
actually not too
is.
easy.
Weird.
She's pretty easy on the eyes, he too.
South Christy Noam? Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. I like the guy from North Dakota. They actually thought he was going to be Trump's running mate because he's another billionaire.
Who's the guy from? I know the names once I call. I know who they are once I Governor of North Dakota. Let me see. Governor North Dakota. Doug Burgum. Yeah. No. I never heard of him being a candidate for Trump's vice president.
I
I
thought
never
so.
heard of that.
What here's a funny thing. Why did they not pick the guy from Pennsylvania? Someone said he's because he's Jewish.
No.
And then I saw Michael Rappaport come on and said, look at him. He denounced his Jewishness so he could get picked, and they didn't even pick him.
No. The reason supposedly they asked Kamala, and she said me and her and Tim Walz just had this great chemistry. I think she can win Pennsylvania without him. And I do believe, and you're saying no, I do believe Tim Walz is all they had hoped for. He's got a folksy way about him. He really is drawing people in all over the Midwest, Michigan being one
Most
of them.
people that I
They,
know, and now this is conservative, but most people I know from up in Minnesota and that area think he's the biggest pile of dung on the planet. They
right.
say he
But
comes out
when,
with this grandfather, wearing his Carhartt jacket and his work boots like he's trying to be a common man, but they say he's the biggest slime ball on the planet. And that's people
but
who
you know
know him
what?
because they lived under him and they left because of
Right. But
him.
it's not, but I always say the same example of would you ever switch your vote to Kamala Harris?
No.
Okay. So by picking him, did she hurt her chances of you switching your vote?
No, but I can bash him just like you want to bash JD Vance.
I don't have it.
So
I
so
think
if
he
so
is
what
weird.
if Trump had picked somebody that
I
you
mean, they've
really,
got
really
pictures
like?
of him wearing drag outfits, and then you're going to say they're fake, but
I
he's
don't
acknowledged
I
it.
haven't seen him, so I can't say yay or nay.
I've seen him. It's weird.
Maybe it was when he was in college. They do stuff at
He
fraternities for
was in
fun.
college, but I'm
They
not
do.
bashing the guy. He was a Marine. But the movie Redneck Elegy, when I worked for my uncle, and we lived it.
Hillbilly elegy. Did you watch
Elegy.
it?
I watched some of it, but I keep saying when I was a kid, I worked for my uncle. We had David and we had David and his brother Frank and all this family, and it reminded me of just that. And it was like
Well,
I
that's
get it.
Florida.
You
That's
lived
hillbilly. Well, that's redneck in Florida, but
right,
he was from
and
West by God, Virginia. Well,
David.
he lived over the border in Ohio, but I mean, still same thing.
So David was this great guy, and he was married to Becky and the whole family. They hired the whole family. I kept telling my uncle, you can't have whole families working for you. But it
Why?
worked. It was fine. But I don't know. I thought it was weird, but I didn't know anything. I was a kid. But David broke up with Becky and he was living in a trailer that we had on the yard where we kept landscape trucks and stuff. And next door was a guy named Paul Bazell. They called him Buzz. And I guess they were drinking or something. And I come to wake up David one morning, and David's dead in the trailer. Per- blue, like his face was blue. It was really scary. And I remember he was a big, heavy guy. And even sure enough, the lady, the people that came from the morgue or whoever picks him up and gets
The
him out of the trailer,
coroner's office.
Carter. She almost fell. All we had for stairs up to the trailer was blocks. So you put the blocks and you stack the blocks, and the one block moved, and she was wearing high heels, and the whole thing was a circus. And I'm like, I'm not reliving all this by watching Redneck Elegy, or what is it called?
No, it was
Hillbilly
Hillbilly
Elegy.
Elegy. It was a good movie. It showed what he came
And
from.
I
I liked
remember
it.
I understand he had a tough childhood, and his mom was a fentanyl addict or a meth. What was she? A meth addict?
Methadone.
And meth. Was she on methadone?
I think, or
That was
maybe
a
it was
drug
fentanyl.
administered by
I
the
don't remember.
government.
I don't remember. She
But
was a
I'm
drug.
not
She was an
playing.
addict.
I'm
I think
not.
she was heroin, and then she switched to methadone.
But he says all women without kids are cat women. That's not a thing to say, and it's inappropriate and
I
it's
don't.
weird.
I
And
never heard him say that.
he admitted to it, and his wife acknowledged it. And she said the reason he said it is because it's like if it works against him, it works against him. People don't like that kind of thing. I don't have a problem with him. I'm glad Trump picked him, but it's not module. You want to pick somebody that's going to complement the ticket. You don't want a mini me.
I don't
And
know. I
that's what
thought it
he
was
got,
pretty
Jay.
cool how he went and trolled Harris's plane.
But everybody else said it was weird.
Nobody said it was weird.
I
Only
didn't
you
even
guys. Only
watch.
you people said it's weird.
He was supposed to make a statement. Trump's not leaving Mar-a-Lago. He was supposed to be out campaigning and rallying, and he showed up with about 11 reporters talking about our plane. It didn't work like he had hoped, I guess.
I don't know. I thought it was fabulous. But
Christine Nail. Christine Noel.
she's awesome. Should do some research on her.
I'm
So
looking her
so
up
so
right
so say
now.
you read about her and you like her, and then Trump picked her as the vice president. Would that get you to switch over?
It would have helped his ticket more than
But
but
would
the
it that
only reason I
would that have gotten you to switch over?
no. Trump, no. I told you.
I
I've
know.
said it on the show. It's Trump. And what was it, Daniel? Said you shouldn't be just adamantly opposed to the individual. I am adamantly opposed
I
to the
see.
individual.
But that's Daniel. That's Daniel's viewpoint. I will read up on other people, but if they don't stand for what I stand for and my values, I can't vote for them. I don't care where they fall.
I'm not trying to knock it. I don't think he stands up for your values. I think he's an opportunist.
I'm an
Somebody
opportunist.
was saying they were
I'm
saying
a capitalist and an
there was
opportunist.
there's a group Christians for Kamala, and they were talking about how Trump was asked in an interview if he ever asked God for forgiveness, and that's the foundation of Christianity. And he said no, I
I'd,
never asked
I,
God
I'd
for
I'd like to
forgiveness.
see. I'd like to see that.
I was
'Cause
just listening to it on the
I
way here.
send it to me because I don't believe it.
I was trying to save it to send it to you. It was a long interview, and the group was called Christians for Kamala. And the only reason I point these things out is because for every Trump supporter, if you really believe he's being robbed this election, you're really believing the wrong thing. His campaign is not being run well, and if he loses, it's because of that.
I don't know. We'll have to see. I think.
Well, I don't
I
know that
think.
he's going to lose.
I think, as I've said 100 times, right wing or left wing, they're from the same bird, so they're all scumbags.
Well, I say, like the Italians say, the fish stinks from the head to the tail, but you know
From the
what? You
pooter
got
to
to
the
pick.
tutor, from the snout to the trout. So
I think
next week we're gonna have a special guest,
Pastor John.
Joe. How hard is Joe? It's
Pastor,
3 letters. One's a genius, the other's an idiot.
Pastor Joe. I'm writing it
You
down
better
right
write it
now. I don't
down.
know
I'm gonna
why.
make him wear a name tag when he gets on, where hello, my name is Joe.
No, I got it posted right here.
And I don't
Pastor
even
Joe.
know that he's gonna
What's
go by Pastor Joe. He might just go by Joe. So you don't got to worry about it.
Wednesday? What's today's day? Today's the 15th, right? So Wednesday the
I don't
22nd.
know. It is. We're gonna do it next Wednesday. We're gonna
What are we
dude,
gonna
we're gonna poke the bear. We're gonna talk about things nobody wants you to talk about at the same time. Don't you dare talk about religion and politics. What are you, crazy?
We do it all the time.
I
We
know.
do it
I
all the
love
time.
it.
I say Jesus was a prophet, not a politician, but I do it all the time.
Jesus was a little more than
I
that.
got my post-it note right here, Pastor Joe.
Pastor Jose.
Imagine if Lori
Imagine if Lorian what?
were on this show right now, she would be so ripping to me 3 times for calling him John. John.
She's not like that. You know she's not like that. No, we're gonna
Easily.
discuss with him a couple very very interesting
I'm going to bring up a
topics.
couple of things.
Bring him up.
No, Joe.
Better hold your
Daniel.
rosary and get prayed up.
No, because you've excommunicated me. What is it
I
called? You,
haven't excommunicated. I'm not Catholic. I can't excommunicate you.
you
Mia
kicked
though,
me from the
Mia on the other
church.
hand, she'll excommunicate you.
My baby girl, she's very Catholic. She's German.
They're not Catholic in
Very,
German.
very. Yeah, they are.
I don't know. I've never
Yeah.
been. Have you been to Germany?
No, my brother Louis was stationed there for years.
I've been to England, Scotland, and France, and then Mexico,
I've never been to
Canada,
Europe.
and the Bahamas. The Bahamas.
I lived in Hawaii.
That's America. America.
Mirror.
It's
The
America.
50th state. That's why the show's called Hawaii 5-0.
Is that why it's called that?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm
Didn't
going to
know
disagree
that?
with you on that because that's their police department.
No, it's the
50
50th
is a
state.
radio term for cops.
Right, but it was also because they were in the 50th state.
No, I have to disagree with you on that.
No, 5-0 is a condescending tone name for cops.
No, everybody calls each
Isn't
other
that
50. Popo 50. Pigs is a
right?
bad
But those
name.
are pigs.
Yeah, 50 is fine. There's no problem with 50. No problem with Popo
Sort
either.
of.
Go slow, slow. It's
Popo.
the
I like
Popo. Anyway,
that.
on that note, another rambling, bambling, fun show in the books. Next week, stay tuned. We're going to have a special guest. We're going to
Let's
bring
try to get
on
Scaramucci
who?
on. Anthony Scaramucci.
No, it's Sabatino.
Who?
Anthony Sabatino. The guy
Who's
running for
that?
Congress?
In Montana?
No, here in Florida.
Oh no, no. I was thinking about the
I just sounded like one of the Tate brothers. Florida, Florida. You ever listen to those guys talk? I guess because they're from Budapest, right? Yeah.
You
You
get
like the
texts like
Do
crazy.
you like the Tate brothers?
I don't know that.
You never watched the Tate brothers? Oh, I'll have to send you some stuff.
Yeah, you need
Anyway,
to.
they're interesting people. One's a Muslim, one's a Christian, but they both believe and love Jesus.
Let's bring them up. I'll send them an email.
They're a little above our pay grade. I mean, it'd be like trying to get Russell Brand on the show.
You don't know. They might
Russell Brand,
give
if you're
us a
listening to us,
chance.
we'd love to interview you.
Yeah, we would.
Tate brothers, you can come on
Absolutely.
too. We'd have fun. I don't smoke cigars,
I'm
but
gonna
you
get a
guys
new
can
mic.
smoke cigars
Where is that stand? Where is that stand to microphone? Where is that running from?
behind my computer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You're gonna get a
I gotta
microphone,
get that. I need to.
two
Can you
turntables,
hear
and a
me?
microphone. Yeah, I can hear you. Unfortunately.
I like it.
All right, Tripperoo. Well,
All right.
that's our show, folks. We discussed some fun things. We're gonna have a better show next week. Not that this was a bad
We
show,
had a good
but
show.
we're
No, this
gonna
was
we're
great.
gonna
Next week will be wonderful
make our shows great
because
again.
Pastor Joe will be with
We're gonna
us.
make our shows great again. Massa, make
Make
our
her
shows great
mask
again. Massa, I don't know.
Moscow.
Whatever.
Moscow.
I saw
All
one.
right.
I saw a guy wearing a red hat. It said "Make healthcare great again." I was like, you just want to get in a fight because people see that red hat. Pastor Joe sometimes wears. He's from St. Louis and he wears his St. Louis Cardinals hat. And people come up to argue with him that he's thinking he's wearing a MAGA hat and he's just wearing a red hat. I mean, how stupid are people? I
People are ignorant.
ignorant. People want to get karate chopped in the throat. That's why I won't put
Pastor
a Trump
Joe won't.
sticker on my car. I won't put a MAGA hat on because I don't feel like getting in a fist fight every day because I don't want to hear stupid people.
I won't do it either.
Some old Karen
Kamala.
don't even know what they're talking about.
Christians for Kamala.
That's terrible. That's on the agenda for next week for sure.
Christians for Kamala?
No, that whole well, that's part of it. Yeah, yeah. Christians for camel toe.
Hamilton.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Guys, if you like our show, if you don't like our show, I don't care. We do care because we love you.
We do care.
We appreciate you. But
Love
subscribe, like, share, comment. Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us what you want to talk about. Send us messages. We don't care. We love to
Tell us if you want
respond.
to be on the show. Tell us if you
Yes,
want to
we
be on
want
the
to
show.
interview. I'd like to interview some different pastors. I'd like to interview some more political figures. We talked to the guy who was running for Congress up in Connecticut. Let's get some people from Florida. Mr. DeSantis,
We need
sir.
that guy back.
Ron DeSantis,
I
we'd
want to
love to
send
chat with you. I want to chat with Ron DeSantis.
I'm gonna send him an email when we hang up.
He may respond. Boy, you were
I
running
hope
for
so.
office. Maybe he'll respect that.
He might. He might say,
But
"Who the hell
guys,
is
until
this?"
next time, thank you very much. We love you. But we got to go. Peace out.
Gotta go back to work. Peace.